So patching drywall, Tommy, something any homeowner is probably going to have to do sometime in their career.
Absolutely. Somebody moving into a new old home, someone's hung pictures on the wall, they've got to patch a lot of holes. Or you're selling a house, you got to patch the holes from the pictures. This is a simple patch. I'm going to use some spackling compound. You can get it in all different size containers, but I don't have to do anything except push it into the hole, smooth it off, let it dry, and do a couple more coats later as necessary.
As it dries, it shrinks a little bit, so that hole which is filled now is going to look a little less filled after it dries.
Right, exactly. And spackling compound doesn't shrink quite as much as joint compound can when you're doing a spackle job like this.
Right, okay, gotcha. All right, so a medium-sized hole?
Now a medium-sized hole like this could be from near the baseboard like this, or it could be from a doorknob on the wall. And you could use some heavy-duty joint compound tape like this, or plaster tape, and put it on the wall right over the hole like that. But for that, I would recommend multiple layers of tape. So you might put 3 heavy coats of tape.
So this is the tape, it's a mesh tape, and this is the tape that the installers use to tape the seams when they're putting it up on the wall for the first time.
It's a similar tape. That's a heavy-duty. It's a little bit thicker.
This is for patching?
Yes,
gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so now they also make a patch like this it has an adhesive on the back. It's metal, comes in 3 or 4 different sizes. I've got like a medium size, and you notice that the mesh is overlapping the joint. I can lay this on the wall like this.
And it's going to stick to it.
And I'm going to just put, again, my layers of compound or spackle over it.
Look at that.
And
so you mentioned spackling compound versus joint compound. The joint compound is what the installers use to cover those seams when they're putting the board up for the first time. Do you care which one you use for which?
Well, for this, I would use the spackling compound.
And the difference between the spackling compound and the joint compound generally?
Well, the spackling compound is a little bit thicker.
Right.
All right. I'm still going to have to, I tried to make it as smooth as I could on my first coat. I'll go over that again with another layer, keeping it smooth. And hopefully I can sand it after the second coat, but if not, I'll put a third coat, make it smooth, and then sand it again.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the medium-sized hole. You're using the pre-cut patches, and then you got a bigger hole like this.
Right. Now, to say something was made through that wall, what I like to do is cut a patch to go over the damaged section of the wall, which I did, and I cut out the damage, but I made this just a little bit smaller so I can fit it in there.
So I love that trick, right? So we could have had like a round hole right here.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to get that precise patch. Just cut a patch, trace it to the wall, and then make the hole bigger.
Exactly. But you notice the problem with this is I have nothing to fasten it to. Right. So you'd have to put something behind the wall. So I'd slide a board behind it, and I'd put a couple of screws in place.
I love
then
that.
Then take the center screw out, and then I could screw that to the wall. Cool. But they also make these clips now that you could actually put this in on all 2 sides or 4 sides, depending on the size that's needed. Put that in like that, and then you put your patch in that with a couple of little screws.
Going to go through that flange behind there and there.
Flatten out these spots here.
And that's going to get flat enough that we're not going to see that?
Yeah, you got to take your hammer and flatten them out.
Gotcha. All right. Okay.
But the other way is if you can take a piece of drywall like this, and I've cut it bigger than a hole, and I've removed the perimeter.
I love this. So you actually cut the patch the size of this right here.
Yep.
But then you've got the paper.
Right. So that's my tape. So now when I put this on the hole, and I made it a little bit smaller so I can get it in easy. See, it's got some play in it. But what I've done by doing that, I first have to put the glue or the compound on the wall first around the perimeter.
And in this case, spackling compound okay for a hole this size?
Yeah, I would go to a joint compound, anything bigger than this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So I put just a quick layer on here. Like that. Take my patch, push it in.
So that's going to hold it in place.
Right, now I just want to push around the perimeter. Now I take my knife, stand it up.
And you're pulling away from the seam right there.
Exactly. Scrape it right out.
Look at that.
And I will let that dry. That's my first coat.
So that's going to hold your patch in place. It's going to set up. It's not going anywhere.
Right, and I didn't have to do any tape, and you're not going to get any cracking.
And you wait for that to set up before you put the top coats on?
Exactly. Try to keep it as smooth as you can on the first one. Then put your second one on. Again, try to keep it as smooth as you can. And then the third one, put it on, and you may need to sand it.
And if you do this well, your eye will never see this patch if it's sanded and feathered properly.
You'll never see it, and like I say, and you'll not get any cracks.
Beautiful. All right, Tommy, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.